Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The very invocation of the Upanishad, Ishāvāsya Upanishad, the well-known mantra Purnamadaha Purnamidam, declares that there is a completeness which is to be discovered by every one of us. Our incompleteness, our misery, our helplessness, our anxiety, all are based on spiritual ignorance. If only we could see properly, if only we could have samyak darshana, this purnatva, the completeness, will be very evident. In this webinar, we are not going to look at Purnamadaha Purnamidam in more detail, which we have done in an earlier webinar. We are looking at another mantra, not the peace invocation, but the 15th mantra of Ishāvāsya Upanishad, which goes very poetically, hiranmayena pātrena satyasya apihitam mukham tattvam pushanna pāvranu satyadharmaya drishtaye. By a gold lid, by a golden cover, is the face of truth covered, hidden. O Pushan, O Lord Sun, O Supreme Lord, please remove that golden cover. Please remove that lid made of gold so that I may see without any obstacle or obstruction the supreme reality. This is the verse, this is the mantra where there is a reference to a gold lid, no ordinary lid, no usual cover, no obstacle that we normally know of. This is an obstruction which is shining like gold. Traditional interpretations talk about the supreme truth being in the orb of Aditya Mandala, the solar orb. They talk about a certain path that a soul goes by after the clinical death takes place. A soul may go by the lunar path, the solar path, and so on. And even as this soul traverses this mystical path, there are certain obstructions, and in order that the soul may reach the highest abode and get liberated, divine grace is needed, which alone can eliminate the very many attractions on the way. These attractions prove to be distractions. These attractions prove to be a trap for the soul. So without considering those meanings where Surya Marga, Chandra Marga, and Shukla Marga, Krishna Marga, chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita also talks about this. Shukla Krishne Gati Hyete Jagata Shashvate Mate. Shukla Gati and Krishna Gati. Ekaya Yati Anavrittim Anyaya Avartate Punaha. We have this shloka. So there is some mysticism which is not denied. We do not contradict it. However, in this webinar, we shall take an interpretation without contradicting all those descriptions in the Puranas or in the Vedas themselves, but in a qualitative manner, all that boils down to a soul seeking complete emancipation, but then there is a major obstacle called here the gold lid. So is this lid some kind of a mystery which no one can comprehend, or is this gold lid something we know and however, in spite of knowing, are unable to put aside? There is a well-known saying in the English language, you may take the horse to the water, but not make him drink. A lot of us, especially in this Kali Yuga, are like that horse. Noble teachers, Ramana and Ramakrishna, Vivekananda and Chinmayananda, and many other mystics, many other sages, many other illumined souls from around the world, from different schools of wisdom, are there to guide us, to inspire us, to nudge us, to make us go forward. They take us, the horse, to the water. But alas, even when we are face to face with water, we look left and right. Should I drink this water now itself? Though I am very thirsty, why not wait a little? This is the gold lid effect. What is this gold lid which comes in the way of our realizing the supreme truth? This statement in the Ishāvāsya Panchadasha mantra gets echoed in many other scriptures. To make a quick reference to Bhagavad Gita, first of all, in a very general way, Lord Krishna says in the 7th chapter, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidyatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschinmam vetti tattvataha. Out of thousands and thousands of human beings, women and men, one rare person actually tries to attain the highest self-knowledge. We are called Homo sapiens, this human species. And recently, this gold lid has taken yet another form called WhatsApp. That has made all of us now Homo sapiens to become Homo what sapiens. We have become Homo what sapiens now. A lot of people in the morning, before even turning the light on, when they wake up, they grab the mobile and check WhatsApp messages. And at night too, after turning off the lights and probably getting into the mosquito net also, they check WhatsApp messages once more and go to bed. What's going to happen to these souls? Imagine. In their case, it's not one gold lid. Multiple gold lids are blocking the vision of truth. Having talked about WhatsApp, may I grab this opportunity? Make a rule for yourself. When you wake up, for half an hour after you wake up, don't check WhatsApp messages. Don't reply to WhatsApp messages. I tell you, you have a better chance of gaining self-knowledge in this very life. Otherwise, this little WhatsApp is going to prevent a major breakthrough, I tell you. Many a time, for the sake of a finite passing pleasure, we let go of the infinite. In that sense, we are great tyagis. We do tyaga of the infinite for the sake of the finite. Alright, coming back, Sri Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. One strives for spiritual attainment, and even among those who try, which is already a small number, one among thousands of such people, yatatam api sahasreshu kaschin mam vetti tattvata. One rare soul comes to know. In fact, if you examine Bhagavad Gita, many are the places where Sri Krishna, in fact, gives a pratidhvani, echo of this Upanishad mantra. To mention one more with many illustrations, we may talk about chapter 3. In chapter 3, in fact, Arjuna asked this question. All of you know the shloka, I am sure. In the 36th shloka of chapter 3, Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Most remarkable word in this shloka is anichan. Not really wanting, and yet we go for wrong things. Wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong food, wrong daily habits. Other day somebody asked me, give me a tip, give me a little advice on successful meditation. I quoted a sentence from a famous book which has recently been published by Jaiko in India on meditation by a Swami who lives in Himachal Pradesh near Solan. His name is Om Swami. Look for Jaiko publications, meditation by Om Swami. And in that book he has covered aspects of meditation from Vedanta, from Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, from some world's wisdom traditions also. Over there he has made a statement. In fact, there is a chapter, if I remember right. He says, there is something which we may call the mother of meditation. The mother of meditation. What is the mother of meditation? In that chapter, towards the end, he reveals the secret. A virtuous life is the mother of meditation. If the way we live is all topsy-turvy, if the way we live from the time we get up in the morning till we hit the bed again at night, if the way we live has many contradictions, we say something, we do something else, we do something and then report it in some other way, we say something and then clarify, oh, I didn't mean to say that. All these contradictions, then you say, I'm going to meditate. Sit for 1 hour and meditate. You will not reach anywhere. A virtuous life, says Om Swami, is the mother of meditation. It is the foundation of meditation. So here we have in 3rd chapter, Sri Krishna answering Arjuna's question. He says, look, this desire, this selfish aspiration, this wanting to become something, wanting to enjoy something, most of it being really unnecessary, but yet we want to enjoy. Somebody had gone to UK and USA, Australia and Africa, but was very unhappy. I have not seen Japan yet. Of what use is my life? Before I die, I wish to see Japan. So, does he need Japan? First of all, he doesn't need UK, USA, Africa or Australia. He has gone to all those places. So, look within. In your life, you will find 9 out of your 10 desires are unnecessary. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavah mahashano mahapapma vidyena miha vairinam. Know this desire, know this anger. Desire, selfish desire, unnecessary desire is meant. Anger, destructive anger, ill-placed anger, misplaced anger, anger for the wrong cause, in the wrong measure, anger for the wrong reason, anger directed to the wrong person. This is meant. Neither desire nor anger per se is meant here. That is the cause. And that is the gold lid talked of in the Ishāvāsya Upanishad. Now in the most important shloka 38 of chapter 3, Sri Krishna gives three illustrations. Dhūmena vriyate vannihi yatha ādarsho malena cha yatha ulbena avruto garbha tatha tena idam avrutam. In some of us, very learned, fairly sattvic, have lived a reasonably virtuous life, and yet we are stuck. It is like some smoke covering fire. Ishāvāsya Upanishad talks about a gold lid covering the face of truth. Sri Krishna says smoke covering fire. With a pipe in hand, if you just blow some air, the smoke goes away. Those of you who have attended Homa, Havan, Yajna, Yaga and so on, find that you have seen it. The priests, the purohits, the archakas, the advaryus, the ritvijas, whatever you may call them. Tamilians call them vadhyars. So these priests, even as the fire of the sacrificial pit is about to go down, get turned off, they blow some air. And on one hand, the smoke goes away, on the other, fire burns brightly. But then, that blowing of air is necessary. Many sattvic people have some tamas also in them. On one hand, they are sattvic, but they are stuck. On the other, they are tamasic. They say, well, somebody will do something, or God will clear the obstacle. One has to get out of tamas, and one must oneself blow the air and drive away the smoke. Yatha ādarsho malena cha. There are some among us who are rajasic. In their case, it is not just by blowing some air, but as the illustration goes, like taking a piece of cloth and removing a layer of dust that is sitting upon a mirror, one has to put in more effort. And the third example Sri Krishna gives is Yatha Garbhaha Ulbena Avrataha. The embryo, a growing embryo in a mother's womb, is covered, is enclosed by a thin layer, by the biological cover. And that will take its own time. 9 months to go. At the end of 9 months in normal delivery, the child comes out. A new child is born. So Sri Krishna gives 3 levels of illustration for this very gold lid. Okay, let us put aside the illustrations, the metaphors, the similes, the examples, the poetry, the decorations. What is the matter proper? The crux of the matter is we are the problem. We don't have a problem outside somewhere. It is inside us. Within us, we need to stabilize ourselves. We need to gain certain steadiness. That's what Maharshi Ramana says in Saddarshanam. Ahasputam tattvamasiti vedaha तथाप्य संप्राप्य परात्मनिष्ठाम् भूयो विचारो मति दुर्बलत्वम् तत्सर्वदा स्वात्मतया हि भाति. That supreme truth is always shining in your own heart as your own true self. But you have mati durbalatva. Your mind is so weak because you have not done enough japa, you have not done enough tapa, you have not lived a virtuous life. You have read great Vedanta books, but at the thought of a pleasure, you rush for this or that pleasure. You have studied Vedanta, you have written or spoken or done all sorts of things, but you have flimsy desires. Mati durbalatvam. Make your mati, make your mind strong. In what way? By upasana. The Upanishads have emphasized the place of upasana. By upasana, the mind becomes strong. What do we mean by mind becoming strong? The mind aligns itself with the true goal of your life, which your own heart agrees with. Coffee and ice cream, cinema and WhatsApp, a video or some newspaper, they are not your heart's truest desire. The truest desire of your heart is true love, true freedom, freedom from dislike, freedom from anger, freedom from hatred, freedom from fear. This is what you are seeking. But 9 out of 10 thoughts in you, if not 99 out of 100 thoughts in you, are aligned with ice cream and coffee, with a gulab jamun or rasagulla, with some travel, some sightseeing, with some partying, with some picnic, with some I don't know what else. Then your mati is durbala. So our own personal attachments, sometimes to persons, to X for Y, to A or B. You may say we are grahasthas, we are not swamis. Grahasthas or swamis, brahmacharis or vanaprasthis, whoever it is, with a little bit of japa and tapa, with a little bit of self-examination, instead of checking WhatsApp messages early morning, spend 20 minutes after you wake up in Om Namah Shivaya. Wake up, brush your teeth, drink a glass of warm water, sit down, don't do anything else. 20 minutes, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Then you will find you would have tamed your mind. Taming the mind. Eknath Ishwaran calls it, in a different context, training the senses. Training the senses. The senses need a little bit of training. All of us know how to ride a bicycle, how to drive a car. Some of us know how to type. I learned typing when I was in high school. So it is very handy for me even now. With all the 10 fingers on a laptop or on a computer, pretty much I type without looking at the keyboard. I go on quite fast. You think I was born with that skill? I went to some typewriting school, I guess for 2 years or so. Even if you say 8 months in each year, some 16 months, maybe twice a week, or I don't remember how many times. That is called training. So with that training, I can look at a document on the left side and I go on typing. Of course, I did not pass exam. I did not sit for exams at all. I just went near our home. There was a typewriting school. I just practiced. That uncle called us, come learn. So I did not really master it 100%. So when I type, I just take a look at the screen in between, then again go ahead. So Training the senses is like that. Nobody is born with perfect self-control, but we can train ourselves. So here we are, Lord Krishna saying it is our own personal attachments. Examine, what are my attachments? Who are the people? What are the objects? House, gold, bank balance, or some hobby, music, dance, general reading, gossip? What is it to which we are attached, and we spend time, energy, and everything else on and on? It never ends. The Upanishads are not saying give up everything. They may say it in a certain context, but the general teaching in a general sense is moderation. Keep everything. You know, there was a humorous WhatsApp message only. Don't ask me, did you read it early morning, Swamiji? No, I didn't read it early morning. I used to check early morning, but I have stopped long back. Now, as I advised you, I check WhatsApp messages after half an hour or 1 hour after getting up. But I read this message some days back, which was humorous. It said if every day you take only, what is that, green tea and carrot juice and some other, if you give up all other things, coffee, tea, and drink only herbal juice and so on, most of your ailments and diseases will go away, as well as your interest in living further. It was a mischievous message. If you don't have any pleasures, well, your health may improve, which is also doubtful, but your interest in living also will leave you, it said. It's a mischievous statement. Don't take this as my quote. But there is a grain of truth in what is said there. The grain of truth is spiritual wisdom doesn't ask you to totally give up movies or ice cream, coffee or tea. It says moderation. So, for example, if one of you makes a rule, make a rule as per your own habits. You have been drinking tea quite a lot. Make a rule, not more than 3 cups in 24 hours, and stick to it. The Upanishads have nothing to say. They don't insist on living some kind of ascetic life. Let some people like Mahatma Gandhi live an ascetic life. That is Gandhi. You and I are not Gandhis. We don't have to imitate Gandhi. We must take the essential teaching. In fact, more than his austere or ascetic life, his adherence to truth was the hallmark of his life. So if you want to follow him, let us go for adherence to truth rather than drinking goat's milk or living on 2 pieces of cloth, etc. Hiranmayena pātrena satyasya apihitam mukham. The face of truth is covered by a gold lid. Internally, in an inward interpretation, the gold lid is no other than our baseless, merely habit-based, flimsy attachments. One more. Vedanta never asks you not to love anybody. Love people, but do not be attached. Love people. If you have been kind to somebody, continue to be kind. But you know the difference between love and attachment. If you are attached, then even when the person invites you to some, wasteful activity, you will say, yeah, I am coming, of course. When you call, how can I say no? And you say yes stupidly, and you say no also stupidly. In attachment, there is a loss of discrimination, viveka. In attachment, there is a loss of sense of what is proper. In attachment, you actually do a lot of foolish things. When you love but are not attached, you will have the courage to say to your friend, your spouse, your associate, your parent, your child, whoever, you will have the courage to say in a very gentle manner maybe, look, I don't think we should do this. I don't think we should buy this. I don't think we should spend on this, etc. You will develop the necessary communication skills to put it across in a proper way without risking your relationship. You don't have to say yes and regret later. Better you say no in the right way, and though it causes some discomfort, you will win the admiration of the other person in due course of time. Tomorrow or a week later, the other person will tell you, really speaking, I must thank you for not agreeing to my proposal that day. Now looking back, I realize how bad it could have been. Thank you so much, and so on. So I need not elaborate on this. Tattvam Pushan Apavrum. Finally, to complete the interpretation of this mantra, while we must put in our effort, we must also seek divine grace. Hold God tightly. Hold God very firmly. In Islam, they have namaz 5 times a day. Like that, we, no matter to what religion we belong, should pray 5 times in our own way. Because if we pray in the morning and then forget Him rest of the day, the devil will find it very easy to hijack us, to kidnap us, to abduct us, to put us in deep trouble. So I like that 5 times prayer in Islam. Nothing prevents us. Hinduism does not have that rule, 5 times prayer, but Hinduism doesn't say don't pray more than once. On the contrary, in Gita you have tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Chapter 8, Sri Krishna says, for all time, during all time, not 5 or 50, 500 times, wherever you are, day or night, inside the house or outside, grab opportunities and pray. Connect with the Lord of your heart. That is Tattvam Pushan Apavrunu Satyadharmaya Drishtaye. Therefore, dear friends, the message of this webinar is simple and down to earth. In our own within, we have sheltered certain weaknesses. We better be more aware of them, and we better work on them. We better uh, make our mind stronger, and then the same strengthened mind will be able to see the truth. The gold lid says goodbye. The gold lid goes away, and we shall be able to have the drishti, the vision. Satya dharmaya drishtaye. Therefore, we can be our best friend, we better be. Otherwise, we would be our worst enemies. We better be not. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. So now is the time for some questions or comments. Let me see. Yes. Okay, let me see if somebody has raised her or his hand. Nobody has asked a question. Everybody is busy pushing the gold lid away. I think everybody is thinking, let's get down to the work right away. Yes, yes. Let me see if somebody has put question in the form of a text. Kumar Komsari Palli says, okay, it is fine. Not audible. Oh, this must be the answers he gave to the organizers. So I go back to Posya. There is a question by Gopal Krishnan. I enable Gopal Krishnan's microphone. Yes, Professor.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
You mentioned about strengthening the mind, but
Yeah.
there's a danger of strengthening your ego also in that process. How to strengthen the mind without strengthening the ego?
True. So the expression strengthening has to be understood rightly. So in fact, we may reword it. Strengthening the mind here means strengthening the mind's bonding with, call it God or call it Atma. So let's put it in a little simpler language. If today my mind thinks more and more about pleasures, possessions, about somebody's insult and somebody's praise, about people, about events and so on, there are 100 things of the world. In place of it, as I do my spiritual practices, if my mind thinks more of God, more of Atma, more of what I read in Viveka Chudamani, what I heard in Ishāvāsya Upanishad, or what I appreciated in some lecture by some saint, I'm thinking more about it, then that is a strengthened mind. Therefore, the strengthened mind is to be taken as a mind which has better bonding with spirituality and a weaker bonding with things of the world. That is the meaning in context.
Thank you.
Let me see if there is any other hand. Yes. Purna Rao, here you go. I'm not able to. Yes, microphone is enabled.
Good evening, Swamiji. Namaste.
Namaste.
The golden lid seems to be a very a term which is like a dichotomy to what you have explained, because the desires and anger is what prevents us from getting to the truth. Now, if that is so, how can we call that golden, which should be made of some kind of metal which is very inferior to gold?
Correct. Yeah, that is how, you are very right. In fact, I forgot to elaborate that aspect. It is called golden lid because when we are in the grip of Maya, which we are, lot of our attachments look very decent. In fact, we are proud of our attachments. We are happy about our, involvement in various things. So in as much as it is so attractive, making us proud of, making us, happy about it in a sense, it is called golden lid. In fact, somebody explained it in the form of an interesting, humorous anecdote. Someone went to meet the chairman and managing director of a company, and the receptionist was so pretty, so he went on talking to her. By then, the appointment hour was gone, and the CMD walked away from his office. Now, that receptionist, the pretty lady, the receptionist is the gold lid, So, though it was a terrible, though it was a terrible thing for him to miss that appointment with the CMD sitting inside, who could be another, able and learned lady. This young pretty lady as the receptionist, made him spend all his time there. So there is something pretty about our attachment to scholarship, our attachment to music, our attachment to politics. Let me give you one more example. There was somebody who was in fact a teacher of mine in my college days, who had announced that once he retires, he will go to Tiruvannamalai and live in constant meditation on Ramana Maharshi's teachings. I happened to meet him 15 years later after I left my college. When I left the college, he was about to retire. So 15 years later, when I met him, I thought he had moved to Tiruvannamalai. I asked him, "Hey, sir, are you in Tiruvannamalai these days?" So that gentleman said, "You know what? You know, I wanted to go, but even as I was packing up from Davangere, where he was teaching, some people asked me to give some homeopathy medicine to some patients, and it worked so well. I became very popular, and I settled in Davangere only afterwards. Also, now I am a homeopath practitioner. Now that is also gold lid. See, he is so proud of his being able to cure. So it is not something of which he is ashamed. He is rather proud. But in the process, his higher aim of conducting Who Am I inquiry in Tiruvannamalai, went for a toss. So let me it is a respectability that we have about certain attachments, which is implied by this gold lid. Let me see who else. No, I don't see any other hand raised. One Ranjan. Yes, Ranjan is here. Yes, Ranjan, please ask.
Hello, Swamiji. Namaskar. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a question which is maybe a little awkward for me, but I just want to find out if you have, I mean, are you or have you found out a person who is that one of the 1,000 and a person who has reached that goal, or the one of the 1,000 person who has reached, I mean, were you able to find the person who has conquered all these things, like the things that you said in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Those two verses where 1 in 1,000 can reach me, God says that. So have you, are you the person, the guru who has reached that goal? And have you found, if not, have you found another person who has already reached that?
I had the great fortune of being in touch with Swami Chinmayanandaji, 1980 to 1993, for 13 years. And I have much reason to believe. It is a matter of faith and belief and general guess, no one can judge so surely. I think Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji had risen above personal attachments. He was able to completely devote himself to a cause that he took. And as far as a meeting, I didn't talk to him one-to-one, but J. Krishnamurti, whom I heard once standing at a distance, but later on I have studied immensely. I think Jiddu Krishnamurti was one such person, who in fact talked all time of dying to one's own past, dying to even a moment that has passed by. And not just talking, but I think he had reached a certain height. Otherwise, today, I believe that someone like Mata Amritanandamayi, Ammachi, I think they are way above. They are not caught in any gold lid. And about me, not at all. I am just one of you. I have been fortunate to be exposed to a lot of this good literature, inspiring thoughts, and therefore we are on the path. We are all seekers. I am in the same boat as all of you, maybe sitting a little in the front. But Chinmayananda and J. Krishnamurti, and Maharshi Ramana, of course, I have the greatest faith that he was way above, enlightened fully, Nisargadatta, but I never met them. Nisargadatta Maharaj I missed by just a year. I went to Mumbai in 84 and I think 83 he had passed on. Maharshi was left his body before I was born in this life. Anyway, thank you, Ranjan. That such curiosity sometimes really helps, but one should not be too much into these things. Yes, Manmohan Pejawar, will you please ask?
Yes. Good morning, Swamiji. Thank you for the lecture. It was, I have heard it once before. It never gets old. Because that shows practice is so much harder than, but to a certain extent, the change comes slowly whether you realize it or not. I think it's, basically I went to attend Swami Chinmayananda's lecture about 60 years ago in Mangalore. And so I have been, so I by no means can describe myself as attained, but at least I could define myself as a sadhak. But in any way, my question, or more of a comment, is this also might be analogous, this golden lead, to a caged bird. Now, granted that the bird does not have any affinity for gold, but it has that security of a cage. It has lived all its life. So soon, if you even keep the door of the cage open, bird will not go out into the world, escape. Because it has that security, it's a known world for it. It doesn't know outside, it's so much better for it, naturally as well as. So would that be fair to say that we are all kind of, when we are born, we are trapped into this. We have to realize that we are trapped, and then we have to make a conscious effort to escape that cage.
True. Yeah, we have to realize that no doubt we enjoy certain comfort in our job, in our family, in our position. Even people like me, Swamis, a lot of people come to us with doubts and so on. It gives us a good feeling. I'm okay. Many people listen to me, but it's a golden cage. So grahasthas enjoy their comforts, and sadhus with an ashram or with some kind of setup, they enjoy their comfort. But the Upanishad seems to question all of us. Are you attached to some position? Are you attached to some name, fame? Are you attached to some privileges? It asks, So one has to be so vigilant. So I would once more say the spiritual practices like japa, tapa and so on, certain whatever little one can do is a great help in becoming aware in the first place that we are way behind than what we appreciate in our bookish studies. Yes. Thank you, Manmohanji. I'll take one last question for this session. That is Dinesh Burman. Let me go to, Yes, Dinesh ji.
Hariom Swamiji.
Yeah, today the mic is working, and go on.
Yeah, so you're talking about your professor who took homeopath, and taking another example of, say, Bill Gates, who's like making a lot of money, but doing good for the world in another way. So is inquiring about who am I is the only path, or what is wrong with your professor? He took up homeopath and trying to treat people. Is that a lower path?
See, it's like this. Technically, homeopathy by that professor, retired professor, and the social work that Bill Gates is doing, there is nothing wrong with that, technically speaking. But generally, they are what we call karma. And let me put it this way. Technically, karma can coexist with jnana. See, karma neither leads to jnana nor is it opposed to jnana. It is in its own place. Therefore, homeopathy or service to the world have no opposition to the enlightenment. But generally what happens is, all of us know, when we take up varieties of action, karma, 999 out of 1,000 cases, various forms of likes and dislikes, ego hurts, and preoccupation with the mundane things, they come up in such a big way that our vasanas, our attachment to the body or attachment to some pleasure, etc., tends to go unnoticed, tends to escape our attention. Therefore, practically speaking, Bill Gates or this retired professor or any of us, practically speaking, we would do well, if not completely give up those things, we would do well to have a few hours of being by ourselves, in quietude, in ekanta. Then only we will be able to face our own inner voice, our own inner turmoil, our inner conflicts. Otherwise, when we are doing homeopathy, people thank us and somebody criticizes us, we feel happy about those appreciating our good work, and we grind our teeth against somebody finding fault with us. Unknowingly, we are caught in another set of raga and dvesha. So it's a delicate issue. Your question is, in fact, is it has great scope. By going away from homeopathy, there is no guarantee one gets into serious self-inquiry. One may just go to Tiruvannamalai and sleep more than ever before, or one can get into some politics there also. So there is no guarantee that by giving up some kind of good action, we will be getting to a higher level. Okay, lastly, let me say, the self-inquiry or contemplation on the Vedanta statement or practicing pure unconditional love of God is certainly a different ball game than the social service, this being a good person, be good and do good. Though for simplicity is said, be good and do good, that is all spirituality, what spirituality is all about, they say, but that is not very true. It is easier said than done. To be truly good and to be truly do good, one has to be free of this ego. And to notice this ego, one needs space. It is like an advanced experiment. It is like a very subtle exercise. So, like some observations in science need to be made where this platform doesn't shake at all. The platform is very steady. Then only some observations can be made properly. So even those of us who have some responsibilities should either during weekends or half an hour a day, we must just say, I am not a homeopath, I am not a social servant, I am not husband or wife, I am not a swami or brahmachari. I just am some kind of letting go of a whole lot of these identities which we take upon ourselves. Therefore, in that sense, practically speaking, there is much problem with both Bill Gates' way as well as that professor's way. So a lot of people engaged in social service, they, by and large, miss the boat. They were good people, it's okay. They are doing some good work, but they are not free from certain sense of incompleteness, certain sense of, oh, we have again a long way to go and so on. So the ego creates its own problems. If you meet them privately, they would say, I have done so much, but the government is not recognizing or something like that, generally. But we are nobody to judge. So once in a while, like Janaka Maharaja, right? King Janaka, yeah. Once in a while, one in 1,000 could stay in karma and yet get enlightened. But 999 will have to create that space, create that little silent atmosphere to observe one's own movement of the mind. So, thank you for that good question. Namaste everyone. We'll meet again another time. Om Namah Shivaya.